says we are.
So anyway, he hits the asphalt at like 75 miles an hour and just keeps rolling until the next exit.
Wait, covered in butter?
Well, he wouldn't have gotten to the next exit without the butter.
True.
Exactly.
That's so slippery. I did not. I'm believing we are live. It is Mutants and Masterminds Monday. I am the disembodied voice of Troy Hewitt, and I'm hanging out with my two favorite Monday compatriots, my Monday comrades, as I like to call you. We have Crystal Frazier.
Hi.
And Steve Kenson.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're talking about Hero High and all things within. Correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
that's the plan.
Teenage superheroes in general.
Okay, imagine that I am brand new to planet Earth and I have never heard of this. What is this? Green Ronin? Is that how you say it?
Mhm.
And Mutants and Masterminds and Hero High. Where does it fit into the catalog of our offerings, and what's it all about?
Well, Hero High is a supplement for our award-winning, best-selling Mutants and Masterminds superhero role-playing game. And if you're tuning in for Mutants and Masterminds Monday and you don't know what Mutants and Masterminds is, then I would recommend you find a different video for the time being, then come and see us.
Or we'll watch
We'll
this
wait.
one and then go, because it will be entertaining as you know, F. So
It's very charming. But Hero High is your guide to playing teenage superheroes who still have to juggle school life and the demands of family and not necessarily being fully legally autonomous people in modern pop culture.
Mhm.
very nice. So folks, if you're tuning in, all you have to do to get engaged is drop your questions in the chat, and I will relay them to our two hosts, and thoughts and general commentary on how generally it's about Crystal's hair, and we can do that again if you'd like.
Mhm.
I know
Or Steve's shirts.
or Steve,
Right.
yeah, it's Crystal's hair, Steve shirts. Troy, please say my name right. And also something that I recall there being some fanfic in the works about hair, like a wig kind of thing.
The
like
Wiggins.
the Wiggins, that's true. Yeah, that's true. There is a motion on the floor that we call fans of this particular slice of Monday the Wiggins. So I'll leave that to everybody watching to decide, and we'll tally your votes at some point and either deny it and pretend like we didn't know anything, or accept it and just call you the Wiggins. Anyway, Mutants, yeah, in Masterminds Monday, and also Hero High. And is it? Do you have to engage in Hero High? I mean, you have to kind of create brand new characters and that kind of process.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about that.
Well, to make a teenage character, you have to make a character who is a teenager.
Right.
I mean, you could also run Hero High with your existing adult Mutants and Masterminds characters and just make them the parents or the super PTA or the teachers at the school.
Mm-hmm.
But the book itself is kind of geared around you're playing the Legion of Superheroes, the Teen Titans, Avengers Academy, original X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
You are students at a school for superheroes, defaulting to the Claremont Academy from Earth Prime, but most of the book is general advice for being a teenager with superpowers and how to capture the feel of being a teenager and talking about plot points that teenagers have to deal with.
Strikes me that Hero High is topical because I was just seeing the news that DC's Stargirl series, which is actually all about teen legacy heroes, just got renewed for a new season. So
Nice.
that's a current show that's very Hero High in its style.
The thing I like about, generally speaking, what I love about tabletop in general is world's best storytellers. But a lot of times storytelling can also kind of take a bit of, it's fun and tabletop is ingenious, and you think of new clever ways to kind of thwart your DM's attempts to end your character's existence. But there is there. Am I reading too much into this? Is there a little bit of therapy in some of this?
Oh, there's tons of therapy in this.
In revisiting high school for nerds? No, surely not.
You think there might be some psychology hidden behind a bunch of queer creators writing a book about going back to high school and having to hide behind secret identities? That's absurd, Troy.
When you put it like that. But I wonder too that experience is universal, here in the States, and I bet there are a lot of people who at times in their lives experience the feelings that in general, sort of an intensity unique to themselves, not one-to-one as far as a sort of comparison goes, because we don't get into like misery bingo. But to say that like high school is a really confusing time for everybody, it's kind of nice to be able to go back and visit, but this time you got powers.
Yes, this time you have superpowers, and also the 2020 hindsight of being an adult who survived all that and knows how to do it right this time in theory.
And it's interesting that you say that. My hindsight's always been 50-50.
You should get that checked.
Yeah, you should get glasses for your hindsight.
And that's the kind of comedy you can expect here. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, don't be like that. We can do much better.
That is true, and much worse.
The other interesting thing about Hero High as a setting too is that in many ways, high school is one of the sort of last great shared, experiences culturally. After high school, people go off in their own directions, and some people go on to college, some people go to different careers, different directions in their lives, but certainly, in America and, most of the sort of Western world, some kind of, finishing your primary education is kind of, sort of the universal touchstone for everybody's teenage years. So it's an experience that everybody can kind of tap into to one degree or another.
Basically that and Star Wars.
Right.
True. Very true. Hey, we've got some comments here. I don't know. This Owen Casey Stevens seems like a bit of a troublemaker.
Didn't we ban him?
No, we tried and he keeps coming back.
Typing in all caps, no doubt.
I love this. Owen says, you can't tell us what kind of characters to make. You just don't understand. I
know. I'm not your real mom, Owen.
I love it. Oh, sweet. I think I get some kind of a bonus when Nicole says, terrible, Troy. Just terrible. Let's see. Jacob Blackmon, a good friend of ours, says some of the best superhero games I have both played and GM'd have been teen hero games, as it's a wonderful fantasy to imagine what one would do as a teenager with agency. Yeah, very true.
Right?
Yeah, that touches on what we're talking about.
There's a certain like freedom, ironically, because you're not an adult yet and you have more free time. You don't have all the adult responsibilities yet. So it's sort of it's a time where your free time is a lot more your own, and you don't have as many hangups beyond schoolwork or ostensibly planning your future, which is terrifying, but
absolutely, yeah. And then also as you grow older, you get into more of a rhythm. You can predict the ways of the world in a better capacity. Every day, as a teenager, every day is kind of an adventure, whether you wanted it or not. But yeah, so that's fascinating. So the genesis of the Hero High, how long has Hero High been out?
Oh gosh, we've mentioned the Claremont Academy in the first edition Freedom City book,
right?
But the first.
Edition.
Hero High for second edition is what?
2007.
2007. Wow.
So Hero High has actually been out long enough to be in high school.
Wow.
Hero High could have graduated and had its own kids about ready to start high school now.
Yep. In fact, that's actually something we ran into in doing a new edition of Hero High, was that all the original characters from the book were obviously too old to be in high school anymore. And so we had to create a whole new class of characters And we realized when we were doing the third edition of Mutants and Masterminds that some of the youngest Hero High characters from the previous books were old enough to drink at this point, and we needed to come up with new ones.
Well, yeah, because all. Oh, go ahead, Crystal.
Oh, it was just kind of gonna reminisce through like all the original next gen cast, and like 7 is the Dark Queen of the Underworld now, and Bowman is on the Freedom League. Megastar has basically joined the Super Army and flown off into space.
They grow up so fast.
Babies.
Brian Scott Bailey says, I find sometimes when running Hero High styled games, many players just fall back to their old cliques. If I was an alienated geek, not interested in anything when in high school, they seem to go back to that, to what they know. How are some ways to encourage players to try something different, like a jock?
Well, a lot of it comes down to what we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of appeal in Hero High for going back and being who you were, but without all the insecurity and uncertainty. So it's kind of a natural first step, at least, that people would want to go back and play a competent version of who they were in high school. But I mean, part of it's just going to take time. People have to get that wish fulfillment out of the way before they start wanting to branch out into new characters. I played a lot of teenage heroes well before Mutants and Masterminds, including in high school. And so I caught kind of a leg up. My longest running Hero High student was the Popular Girl, except sort of not. She was a clone of the Popular Girl. But it just comes down to like working where your comfort zone is. Some people feel safe and happy replaying what they know personally because gaming is an escape for them. It's a place where they get to feel strong. And if that's something they need to apply to their own personal identity, then they're going to gravitate towards characters that are built off themselves.
Yeah,
I don't know that you really need to change it. Sorry.
No, I agree. I mean, I think that there is certainly an advantage to being able to play Hero High characters with that degree of if I knew then what I know now. And gods know I would have been much more interested in exercise when I had a teenager's body,
right?
If I had understood all of the benefits of exercising when I was a teenager. But yeah, I mean, some of it is going with what you're comfortable with and what you enjoy as far as that goes. And there's certainly nothing wrong with with people playing what they enjoy. These games are supposed to be fun.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick to the folks that are listening, I know that we were having some echo issues. Do let me know if that's been remedied. In my zeal in setting up my broadcast palace, I might have done something weird. So do let me know. But yeah, so the people are absolutely engaged on this subject. Let's see. Oh, yeah, no, you made it, Sean. Glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Owen says RPGs often work best when PCs aren't constrained by strong outside rules. It allows PCs to make adventurous choices and decide on their own. Yeah, I was just thinking about like sometimes you go into a thing and you're trying to be, I can imagine in this case, a scenario where someone is playing the thing that they know, but maybe exploring a different avenue of that, of their personality and building capacities and the whole thing. And that is, it's definitely an interesting question for sure. And it really brings to the fore the concept that, the GM has so much responsibility for handling the group dynamic anyway, which can be just depending on who you're playing with, really, really fun or incredibly challenging or just, totally random. But when kind of dealing with issues like this, it is, I can see where it can be a little sensitive or something that
Mhm.
you'll want to tread lightly or at least respectfully, and maybe
Yeah,
push where you
absolutely.
can. And go ahead, please.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, in any role-playing game, you're going to want to start with that session zero approach of making sure everybody is on board with what the game is about. Everybody has a sense of the kind of style you're going for, and to have the opportunity to talk about boundaries in one way or another, of what everyone is comfortable with. I mean, if you're talking about a, high school set teen heroes game, there are certainly a lot of teen and high school issues that are going to, be areas that people are going to be more or less comfortable with, depending on their own experience and their own background, so far as that goes. And you can run a teen heroes game from anything from very, very lighthearted and goofy to very serious and dealing with some really significant issues, if that's what everybody is on board for. And that's the really the key thing.
Absolutely. This one, here's a question and a suggestion. And let me tell you, people are taking the challenge seriously here. We should put out an annual yearbook, update the teenage heroes and introduce a new class, plus examine new trends for hero high characters, do 16 to 32 pages a year, and then do a collection every 4 or 5 years. Clever.
I mean, that would be fun, but I think it would be a lot of work for a very niche product.
John,
Yeah.
so a really great idea, but you saw it and I did as well. We did not reach for the pencil. She did not write this down in the Book of Dreams. So you,
No,
valiant effort nonetheless.
No, they can't all be.
Yeah, I think a better pitch would be like an evergreen companion product, like a guide to the Claremont Academy or a guide to is it the Shadow Academy over in Emerald City?
Yeah.
The evil Claremont Academy, which I love as the idea of a setting for a bunch of brand new superpowered teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
You get picked up by superpower Hogwarts, and then you find out, oh, we're the baddies.
It's run by supervillains. And that would be such a fun campaign to run in some ways, because it would be interesting to present it to the players as it being up to them. Do their characters, decide that they're going to, go against what they're being taught and ultimately decide they're going to turn out to be superheroes? In spite of this attempted, villainous indoctrination, or are they going to just, embrace, being bad guys?
Fascinating.
It would be a really interesting sort of game to run in a lot of ways.
John Polajak says, I realize Crystal is already overloaded with adventure ideas. We never have enough of those. But it might be really fun if a story was built around Claremont Academy, participating in an extramural varsity event against counterparts at other superhero high schools elsewhere in the U.S. and internationally, including the villainous ones.
Well, that could be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you could build a terrific campaign around both the just the school year, just take the school calendar and break it down into, all of the big events, and do homecoming and prom and a bunch
Super
of other
prom.
Right. I just do a bunch of other sort of key points to build things around.
I love it. Now, I do have
build a whole high school campaign.
Point of clarification. Did we in fact see you write down?
Yes.
Okay. Well done. Done it. You did it. You broke the seal. You made it happen. I will probably, Sean probably loosened the lid just a bit, but John, you did it.
I will say that we do have a Claremont Academy adventure coming out, but it's not built around any kind of sporting event. It's actually built around the theater club LARPing.
Oh my! I love it. I love it, and simultaneously, I'm feeling attacked.
Basically, what happens when your superpowered LARP takes things too far?
Mhm. As those things are wont to do.
Oh boy, did they ever. But you learn so much.
Ideally.
LARPing is how we grow.
Right. LARPing is really pretty much what I do on a day-to-day. I'm LARPing an adult right now. Let me
Yeah,
just tell you.
I'm LARPing a competent human being.
Right. Us all, really.
I love it. I love it. And so, so that is a work in progress right now, as far as the Drama Kids LARP.
Yep.
Nice. And then, dare I even ask, like, is there an ETA or was it just a secret that we?
Oh no, it's after we wrap up Nether War. But
Mhm.
the title is Bite Club, and it's part of a short series of independent adventures before we jump into the next like multi-part adventure.
Mm.
I like it. It sounds like there's planning and stuff involved. That is amazing.
Right.
So when we look at what it takes to sort of create the, that quintessential, experience, and as you're crafting this world for people to kind of engage in, what are your media touchstones?
Oh, I mean, the obvious ones are like the comics we listed off at the beginning of the podcast. Is this a podcast? The stream?
It's called a streamcast.
All right, stream.
It's a hybrid.
It is.
And for me, at least, I go back to a lot of the like non-superpowered high school dramas, so that I grew up with. So there's like a certain amount of 90210 and Buffy and Clarissa Explains It All, and oh gosh, what else did I watch back then? I don't know. Steve, cover for me.
Oh gosh, what else? Oh, Saved by the Bell.
Oh yeah. Hey Dude, inexplicably, because that was all about summer vacation.
Yep. And like the vibe of like animated shows like Teen Titans and the like have a lot of teen hero energy to them as far as that goes. I think that and we keep mentioning it, but Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts is a great sort of teen characters. It's not teen superheroes precisely, but it's teenaged characters.
I've got to just get that. Yeah, I've got to take care of that.
Yeah.
As far as watching it.
New She-Ra.
You're right. I was going to say the new She-Ra has that vibe too.
Dragon Prince to a lesser degree. There's a lot more age range because you've got like the little brother is, I want to say 9.
Yeah,
can't remember.
Like that.
And someone mentioned Degrassi.
I never really watched it growing up.
Either, but how about someone said? Oh, Owen says My Hero Academia.
My Life as a Teenage Robot.
Yep.
Secret World of Alex Mack.
Oh God, I loved that show.
The Teen Wolf series has a lot of sort of hero high energy to it.
Yeah, who was the guy that did all the classic kind of angsty kids movies like
John Hughes?
Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
right.
16 Candles and pretty much everything along those lines.
Absolutely. Well, so it's interesting that you bring up animation, only in that I'm introducing a new like a new segment, we'll call it, and it's called Crystal and Steve Butt In. So this is where I go out onto the internet and I find a question that wasn't asked to you, and then I ask you that question, and then the person that we picked gets something special. I'm not sure what it is yet, but we'll collude and figure out something appropriately Mutants and Masterminds for them. But are you ready for this? Now, you two have not been prepped. We're going to do the segment. You don't know the content.
You only sprung the idea of this on us like 30 minutes ago. So.
Just moments ago. Literally moments ago. This is from Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition Facebook group. And it's a gentleman by the name of Tyler. Tyler says, how would you make a character with Toon Force, in quotes, powers. Basically, Toon Force refers to the abilities characters like the Animaniacs and Bugs Bunny, basically things like being able to bounce back from things like getting an anvil dropped on them, gravity not working, until they look down. An example of this as a comic book character would be The Mask. I feel
slapstick.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel the easiest way to do this would be creative use of powers like regeneration, protection, insubstantial.
And you can't ask the question and then answer it yourself, Troy.
Well, but here's the question. Do you have any advice on how to make a character like this work? Also, how would you make it not have it come off too overpowered?
Well, I think you're right that, a lot of it is, with most Mutants and Masterminds design, a lot of it is breaking things down into what exactly do you want the thing to do? Is the primary thing that the character can't get hurt, but therefore can still do all kinds of wacky things where their face gets burned off, but it just, springs back, or they crumble to a pile of ash and they just pop back up, or they get rolled flat, but they just spring back up, if somebody blows into their finger, sorts of things. Those are just descriptors of the character being invulnerable. So make the character, immune to whatever damage you want to make them immune to, and say, but there's this wacky cartoon effect to it when things like that happen. And this is true of a lot of things as far as that goes. If you want to add a certain amount of description to how the power works, as long as the game effect is essentially the same, you can have as much of that as you want. And I think that covers a lot.
I'm actually going to go against Steve here. I don't think you make them immune to damage because when Daffy Duck gets shot, he's stunned for a few moments.
True.
So I'm thinking what you've got is so much immortality, they just come back every single turn.
Yeah, that's fair. And like Troy said, I think a huge amount of regeneration or the like is another way of looking at it.
Yeah, and I kind of think for a lot of the Toon physics ideas, you just give them an innate rank of insubstantial to make them fluid and I guess like an involuntary elongation.
Yeah.
Involuntary elongation.
like somebody else can stretch them out, but they can't stretch themselves willingly.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounded like your superpower was like finding people to torture you.
Well, hey, no shaming.
No comment.
Hey, fair enough. Fair enough. And on that note, I want to thank Tyler. You didn't even know you were doing a thing, and now you're all wrapped up in this because we butted right in. That was a good question. Any final thoughts before we kind of continue our Hero High discussion?
I think you'll have a hard time justifying the only when it's funny limitation.
Yeah, I think that's a complication.
Yeah, at best.
Kind of exhausting to kind of hang around with somebody who's like, I'm just going to yuck it up the whole time.
Yeah, I think like your complication is only when it's funny. It's basically a power loss. Like if it's not funny for you to do X, you just can't use your power there.
I like it. Would that be funny if you could be like, okay, do something funny? Nope, sorry. That was not funny.
No.
You are now dead.
Yep, can't slip out of these handcuffs. It's not funny yet.
Right, it's not funny yet. Keep working on it. Jacob Blackmon, Tyler, this is just the kind of service that you get that you didn't ask for. We just pile on. Jacob says, Toon invulnerability, just add subtle to your protection power so it looks like you take the damage you should have. That's clever.
Yeah.
I like it. Sean has an idea. Suddenly having an idea for an adventure for Hero High. He said, "Hi, Hero." That's a different game altogether, my friend. Based on Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where the PC skips school for superhearing and the principal is trying to track them down. That's fun. I like that idea.
Yeah. Anybody who's reading the current run of Miles Morales Spider-Man, the vice principal of his high school is very clearly based on the vice principal from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
That is the whole Miles Morales universe and all the way that unfolds. I'm in love with it. I just
Yeah.
all day.
Saladin Ahmed's run on the book has been really good.
Nice. I need to get caught up. I've been reading his run on, or not his run, Ta-Nehisi Coates' run on Ms. Marvel, which also very good.
It's also really good, yeah.
And also a teenage hero book.
Yep, indeed.
So yeah, as far as books and things go, I mean, we touched. I mean, we didn't really mention. Wait, is Buffy happens in high school, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, that was kind of passed me by.
First 3 seasons.
Yeah, that's right. And then what are some other books or some other inspirational kind of things that we can recommend to folks to sort of inspire their creation of or playing of Hero High?
Well, it occurs to me, in addition to the ones we just mentioned, Ms. Marvel's great, and a lot of the champions characters in Marvel, not the RPG, but the superhero teams, are sort of Marvel's current crop of high school aged heroes. So
Miss Teenage Scott Summers.
Right. And it also occurred to me for folks who haven't seen it that Veronica Mars is a terrific idea.
First 2 seasons of Veronica Mars.
Yes.
Do not watch the 3rd season of Veronica Mars, but the first 2 are a great Hero High.
While she's in high school.
Yes.
I gotta tell you, listen, if there's one thing that you ever do in your life, listen to what Crystal just said. That is everything else, whatever. But there are 2 seasons. That is
There are 2 seasons of Veronica Mars.
That is it. That is all. Hey, folks, for that are just joining us, of course, it's Mutants and Masterminds Monday, as you know. We're talking Hero High, and if you've got questions, thoughts, ideas, you are free to share them in the channel, and I will relay them to our hosts, Crystal and Steve. And one final sort of kudos to Tyler, because I know you'll be immediately listening because you're so excited at the advice that you're going to get. In addition, you're going to get something, who knows what it'll be. It'll be something incredible, though. I'm certain, because that's all we have to offer is just incredible stuff. Send a note to letsplay@greenronin.com and we'll get you squared away.
So, Steve, I didn't actually get to work on any of the Hero High books. Those predate me. So let's hear your thought process on creating your favorite Hero High character from the books. It could be next gen, the Alternatines, new next gen, any of the side characters that get little mentions.
Yeah.
There's some fun ideas in here.
There are a lot of those. I definitely owe to Lucien Solban, who
Lucien's great.
Wrote the original Hero High book and then updated it for us for the 3rd edition. So a lot of these characters are his creation.
I love Changeling, who is our aligned Gru from an alternate universe.
I am a huge fan of Changeling, and she was such a fun character to come up with because, for folks to whom it is not immediately obvious, Changeling is clearly voiced by the voice actress who did Starfire in
Tara Strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has that bubbly, I love everything personality. And there's my favorite piece from the original Hero High is Changeling picking up some cute alien creature where she says, it is so adorable, I must hug it. And
it's
of
clearly
course,
hideous and stinky.
Right. And of course, one of her teammates is like, we'll know in a minute if it's evil.
I do miss the little tiny mini comics that we put all through the original Hero High book.
Yeah. It was such a fun, the book has such a great sense of humor. And it was a lot of fun just talking about the different interactions of the characters. and they just have a lot of personality to them. I like Whoop Ant a lot too, who is one of Lucian's characters, who is just this, super fun, like shrinking character who's sort of like a 13-year-old Ant-Man, basically, but who goes from being like 4'5", to shrinking. And is just another one of those really fun characters who just is super, it's easy for a lot of teen characters to be kind of angsty, and I think that
Guilty.
some of them are just super fun because they're just so psyched about the notion that they are superheroes.
Yeah.
That is always a ton of fun to play.
Right.
If we ever do that Claremont Academy supplement, I'm going to slip in some of my own side characters from way back when. That's developers' prerogative.
Absolutely.
But
Right. Yeah.
I used to have a character called Gates, whose only power was to create stepping gates, a la Magic or Gates from Legion of Superheroes. But she was just so excited about being a hero.
Right.
I love it. Yeah. I'm trying to think of, so, that's a hard question to ask people who design games. But, you, Crystal, you touched on the character that you created. What are some other, like, what are some powers and character types and archetypes that you would play around with in this space?
Well, I mean, a lot of the obvious ones are already spelled out in Hero High. There's a big selection of pre-made hero archetypes that are all inspired by, the characters in the comics. Like there's your alien exile, who's very much Starfire, or your alien hybrid, who's Hulkling, or your child of darkness, who is Wiccan or Raven, or, those other like very broody, cursed with too much power teenagers. So those are all, we've explored a lot of that, but I think the two things that are a lot of fun to work with on Teenage Heroes are either extensions of what teenagers can do already, like super speed, or never getting tired, or being invulnerable, or powers that are clearly sort of adult themed that they don't know how to deal with yet, like having dark magic that you don't have the emotional maturity to master yet.
Right. Or like the super techie types, who are much more interested in like building better smartphones and better video games, than anything else.
Yeah, interesting too. It strikes me while the you try to create, at least in my experience for me, try to create characters that are as whole as you imagine them to be at the start, and then of course they evolve and change over time, and you bake in sort of Mutants and Masterminds, you kind of bake in sort of that weakness, that kryptonite, if you will. It strikes me as a real challenge. Like it can be a real challenge to yourself to be authentically sort of flawed in a way that you are really aware of and say, okay, I know what I want to do is this, but my character, any thoughts around sort of building around flaws and to do so not in a way that is, it's to add texture and to find creative ways to solve a problem. So, what are your thoughts on that, especially in the context of teens?
I think, Troy, you will find Steve and I have no problems seeing faults in ourselves.
Yeah, I've had some
Not
time.
at all.
I've had some time. But yeah. It is both interesting and it is, sort of, if you're being honest about it, it can be very challenging and
it can.
but also rewarding, right?
Some of it is play style. And we can talk a little bit about complications and how the game system rewards that kind of thing, but some of it is also just the kind of game you run, and the sort of tone you set both as a game master and a player, where there are some games where the players become kind of ultra paranoid, because everything's a trap, and there's danger around every corner, and so they have to be very cautious, and they can't trust anyone, and that cultivates a certain style of play. And sometimes you need to just loosen things up and say, hey, this is a superhero game. You're playing teenagers. Let's be upfront. Your characters aren't going to die. At worst, they're going to, suffer from some kind of, embarrassment or, setback. So, when you have those impulses to jump into a scene, go for it. And kind of give the players the permission to do that and know that they're not going to necessarily get smacked down for it.
Yeah, it helps if people know up front that their flaws will come up, but won't be they won't be used to end the game.
Right.
They're not going to be used
against
as the as the GM. Your flaws are never going to be the thing I use to kill you. It's the thing I use to make something harder when it's going too easy for you, or to flesh out the story, or
to get you closer to the thing that's actually going to kill you.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's going to kill you is your own hubris. Because I read Poe.
It's hard to ask questions and laugh at the same time.
Then my work here is done.
Yes, exactly. That is, but really solid advice as I try to get my business together. A really solid advice, both for the GM and for the player. For the player, it's like dive in and do the thing, but ask the questions before you start. And for the GM, create opportunities for people to play around in that space and read more Poe, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I had, a good friend of mine who I gamed with for many years, who didn't get the idea of, his literal question was, why do bad things have to happen to our characters? And I was like, because that's a thing we call conflict.
Yeah.
And pretty much plots don't happen without that.
And I mean, there's room for that. There are plenty of games where,
right.
It's more about communal storytelling. It's just a different style of game.
Right, exactly. I mean, and you can absolutely run a game where it's just about the characters sitting around in character being themselves, but you're not going to have much in the way of a conflict or a driving plot as far as that goes. And if everybody's cool with that, great. But if you're looking for a comic book story, there's going to have to be some kind of conflict at some point.
Sure.
Comic books are high drama.
Right.
Yeah, I'm looking at the. I was just thinking about that comment from your friend, and it just hurt my heart just a little bit. Just like, why can't I just have a world of candy and all the things I ever wanted? And
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd love a world without conflict.
Yeah.
I am at my heart a coward, but
I don't know what I'd do with the rest of my day, but yeah, no, absolutely. Hey, Sean asks, hey, is Green Ronin going to run anything at Gen Con online? And yes, we are. We are going to have some panels. We're going to have freebooters will be there. We will have, we'll be there in full force. Anticipate. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to them on the phone this week. This weekend. What is today? It's Monday. It's Mutants Masterminds.
God, it's only Monday.
I tell you, it is only this moment that helps me remember what day of the week it is. If it weren't for Mutants and Masterminds Monday, I don't know what day it would be. But anticipate seeing more information about that very shortly. Have no fear. DT Sketch Buccino says, will there be additional rules for sidekicks in the Vigilante Handbook?
I mean, not especially. There's a little bit of talk about like the concept of sidekicks, but I mean, a sidekick isn't necessarily any more endemic for the vigilante genre than anything else. It's just we associate sidekicks with Batman and Robin.
Right.
Although Batman's not really a vigilante at this point. He's very much like a world class
Mhm.
like PL12 powerhouse.
Yeah.
Sean Vieira says also we can we get an ETA? And that, honestly, I'm going to answer that for us. ETA means everyone talk always, which is why we're here. It's Mutants Masterminds Monday, so you get a full hour of it. Enjoy. Is there a real answer, or am I just trolling people for fun?
You're just trolling people for fun. There's no real answer on it right now.
And I get paid for this, folks. Okay, so let's see. What time are we? Wow, time flies when we're having all this fun. Are there some other aspects of Hero High that we want to cover, or aspects of this we want to?
We did want to talk a little bit about if we were superpowered teachers, what class would we teach?
Yes, very important.
So,
Very
Steve,
So-
should I say, Professor Kenson, what will you be teaching?
My semester at Hero High would most definitely be esoteric history and focusing on, because there's so much history in superhero settings, and there's always that, getting the youngest generation of heroes to really appreciate everything that's come before them. I mean, because for most of the Hero High types, ancient history is what happened last year, much less what happened 20 or more years ago. So it's always been interesting when we have some of the Hero High characters like the Bowmen, who are legacy types, or the new Golden Marvel in the current Hero High book, who are characters who have even though they're very young, they have a lot of history behind them, to pull some interesting things into it. I think that's one of the interesting things about the Stargirl series now, is that basically everybody's a legacy character, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of the history that got them there. So yeah, history would be me.
Very nice.
What about you, Crystal?
I think you mean Professor Fraser.
Yes, indeed.
Well, this semester, I think I am going to be teaching minimizing collateral damage, which is going to be a combination psychology and gym class.
the practical, the lab work for that is challenging.
I like it.
Part of it is a lot of homework in de-escalation and negotiations, and the other part is learning how to control your powers and only using as much force as necessary, because I think we can all agree that is something everybody who dispenses justice needs to learn.
Yes. Important lessons in the tensile strength of many common household and urban objects.
And I would attend to both of those. I would not skip them to go out behind the school and smoke a cigarette. So John,
yes, those are both required classes. You're going to need a C or better if you want to get your cape.
Yeah, do I have
absolutely.
to suit up? I always had an issue with that. I just never.
Well, for the practicum and
for gym class, yeah. You're going to need, you can't wear street shoes in the gym, and you're going to need unstable molecular jockstrap.
Oh gosh. Oh good. Well, good. I have two of those. John Polajak actually brings up something kind of interesting. And I think it's an interesting space to sort of flesh out a bit. John says, it occurs to me a Hero High adventure could be written without necessarily involving physical conflict. What if heroism consisted of uniting the students against a high status clique, which engaged in bullying or uncovering and exposing a classmate's abuse at the hands of a mentor, that kind of thing? Absolutely. And I think when we say conflict, I think that I love that we're also thinking outside of that kind of physical realm, for sure, but thoughtful, and I think a nice facet to kind of add to the dialogue. It doesn't always have to be fisticuffs.
And Hero High definitely spotlights one of the qualities of a lot of comic book stories is some of the more interesting challenges are ones that can't be solved by the character's powers.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. And food for thought for folks creating some opportunities and stories for other people to engage in. Owen says something, and I would actually go to this one. I would actually skip probably, sorry, Steve, I'd probably skip yours to go to Owen's, which is, Owen says, I plan to run a mandatory ethics of superpowers class.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes. The telepath
it.
was getting a huge argument.
I mean, everybody talks about telepathy when you start talking about ethics and superpowers, but can we talk about the ethics of lighting somebody on fire?
Right.
Yeah. Or just busting up a city and being like, you're welcome. Gotta go. I've done my job.
Like,
Jonathan,
when is shapeshifting appropriation?
that is true. Very true.
Yes.
Jonathan B. Howell says, as a substitute teacher, I have often wondered how teaching superpowered teens would go. Oh, wow.
Well, you've got to wear a lead helmet during exams.
Right. Oh, could you imagine? Now that's a whole story I would just love to explore, because I know the substitute teachers when I was in school, it was rough. It was a rough thing. Give the kids some powers.
Sure. And that would be a fun story too. I mean, if you're running a school for superpowered kids, who do you get as a substitute teacher?
Yeah. Who do you get? That is.
I'm gonna assume pro wrestlers.
Right. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah. My money's on Owen. We'll invite Owen to come substitute.
John Cena comes in to teach math, and everybody listens.
Right. Yeah. That would be awesome. John Cena or. Who's the wrestler? They're a wrestler person. They do wrestling. I totally blanked on their name.
You narrow that down a little.
A little bit.
On TV.
Sergeant Slaughter.
That's it.
The guy with the shirt.
That one, yeah.
Sure.
Sergeant Slaughter, we're saying. I'm not lying. Well, I gotta say, this makes for some compelling live stream. But we're near the end.
Did Lou Albano?
That's I love Lou. Hey, what up with the rubber band? Do we know what that was about? Lou had that rubber band kind of on his cheek, kind of hanging.
I have no idea.
Folks, don't you know what I'm talking about? He'd be in like Cyndi Lauper's videos, Lou Albano with the rubber band on his face. I'll be vindicated in the future.
I think you mean his mustache?
Yeah, it wasn't. Usually our channel is quicker on the draw, but they're too busy wondering what the hell I'm talking about. So perhaps I won't.
For those of you who are a little younger, Captain Lou Albano was Mario from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
There you go.
If you haven't seen it, I recommend you go watch a couple episodes because it's something.
It's something.
I loved that show as a kid, and if I'm being completely honest, still love that show.
Check it out for sure. I'm not sure if Brian is saying I know what you mean because he knows what I mean, but I'm going to presume that is the case. I am now vindicated. It was a rubber band. It is. Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you so much. I thought I was in one of those mandala moments or whatever. What is that?
Oh, yeah. Mandala effect.
Yeah, the Mandela effect where
Mandela.
Yeah,
Mandela effect.
Yes, that one. Here we go. Owen to the rescue says, and we'll kind of work our way out of the live stream on this note, saying he developed a later trademark applying rubber bands to his beards after seeing some homeless men do the same. He also often wore a rubber band hanging from a safety pin pushed through his cheek. So there you go. There's your little bit of history.
I don't remember that from the Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
No, yeah, it was Girls Just Want to Have Fun, I think is the video I saw him in. He was Cyndi Lauper's father. Yeah, they were buddies somehow. But
they were great friends. It's actually kind of adorable. It's the relationship that the character of Poison is based after in the Final Fight franchise.
Get out.
Yeah.
Really?
I can't remember the name of the wrestler she repped, but Poison is Cyndi Lauper to this other wrestler character's Captain Lou.
Well, I love that, and I always did love their connection, and his passing was, very moving. And Cyndi Lauper, just the shit. I love her to death. So,
if you haven't watched the movie Vibes, Cyndi Lauper stars as a superhero psychic.
get into that. And here's the other thing: how much skill does a person have to bring it back to superheroes every time I try to derail it? You are amazing. Amazing.
I just have a very narrow window of focus.
I love it. Whereas I just am all over the place, and Steve, you're just that very sort of tethering force of sort of balance.
Steve's handsomeness just grounds us all.
It does. It really does. Sorry, why am I laughing at that? It is not funny. It is true, but I am having.
Boy.
Yeah, I need a rubber band, clearly. Okay, hey friends, before we wrap it up, it is now 3:01. We're giving you 1 minute of extra M love. Anything to wrap it up with?
I would say our reminder that real heroes wear their masks not to protect themselves, but to protect the ones they love.
Yes.
Yes.
So when you go out, wear your mask.
Wear your mask. Come on. Don't be a weirdo.
And if Spider-Man can beat up Doc Ock 3 times a week while wearing a mask, you can wear it for grocery shopping.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, that is a solid advice here from the Mutants and Masterminds Monday hosts. Thank you both. Always a blast. Super fun. Thank you for everyone who's been checking things out. Congratulations to our friend, and I'm talking slow because I'm vamping and I'm saying
Tyler
Kearney. Get a hold of us. We've left you a little message because we butted in on your question, and we plan to do more of those in the future. Any thoughts, any questions, any complaints, any sort of recipes or whatever, send them to let's play at greenronin.com, and we will read them. We may not say a word about them, or we may steal the idea and use it as our own and never tell anyone.
Go on the list.
Right.
Go in the book.
Yeah. I go in the book of dreams. And also I believe that was John. We'll figure that out too. We might send you something nice for inspiring.
We might just send him a contract to write the adventure.
That'd be his favorite.
It's not like John does not have a proven track record.
Yeah, careful what you wish for, I guess. But all right, with that, it's the end of the show. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you too for having so much fun with me every Monday. We will see you again next Monday.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good night.